So originally I wasn't really planning on making this video just yet because I wanted to cover other weapons from various classes, but then I realized that's really the only things I've been doing with these TF2 videos. For the past month or so, I've been covering at least one weapon every single week. And although I don't really want to stop doing that, I do want to put a bit more effort into my videos, and by that I mean making them a bit more longer. Usually it's the same format for every single video that I make covering a weapon, and for that, my videos tend to last less than 6 minutes. I don't know how long this video will last, but considering the topic that I'm going to be covering, I'd say maybe around 7 minutes. So with that being said, let's get started. Engineer friendship. What is that, you might be thinking to yourself? Well, I like to think of it more as a lifestyle than anything else. You see, although I am mostly an engineer main, I only have roughly about 145 hours playing as engineer. And yes, I'm aware that I'm not a long-time TF2 player. I have like less than 1,000 hours of playtime in total. But regardless, throughout my many hours of playing as engineer, I have mostly gotten the hang of everything that has to offer with him. And that's mostly from watching other YouTubers who also play engineers such as Uncle Dane. However, I only watch these videos to get the hang of certain weapons that I'm not very familiar with. Everything else that I learn comes from experience. You see, there are two types of engineers in this game, the ones who only care about themselves and their buildings, and the ones who try to help everyone else. Needless to say, you'll want to be more like this guy than the other. But how do you become a more helpful engineer? Well, don't worry, because all you have to do is follow this acronym known as RASH, which stands for Ranger, Assist, Spy Check, and Hold Position. Sounds complicated, right? Well, don't worry, we'll go over it one by one, starting with Ranger. When I mean Ranger, I'm actually talking about the Rescue Ranger because I think it sounds better in my head. But anyways, the Rescue Ranger is a really good choice if you want to help out other engineers but you're too far away. For me, personally, I don't really use the Ranger all that much because our buildings tend to be really close to each other, so I could just pull out my wrench instead. However, if you're playing on a map that has very large open areas, I think the Ranger is the better choice to use. Because the last thing you want to do is to run in an open field and get killed by a sniper or a soldier. So having the Ranger on hand is a good choice if you think it's necessary. And although it's not really a dedicated weapon, you can sometimes get a kill with it. However, I don't really advise doing it by yourself. Because remember, an engineer is defense first and offense last. So with that said, now we can move on to the second word, which is assist. So this one is pretty obvious, always help out other engineers when it comes to either upgrades or repairs. But despite this being a very simple task to do, it actually can help everyone, not just engineers. So in this gameplay that you're seeing, there are 4 engineers on our team, including myself, and our buildings are pretty much stretched out. Our sentries and dispensers are scattered all around, but that's mostly because we want to cover all angles as much as possible. But despite this, we're never really out of reach, and therefore we can help each other out whenever possible. Now, I'm not saying that engineers have to stick close to each other in order to help each other out, but it sure does make life a lot easier. And on top of that, even if one of your sentries gets destroyed, there's always going to be another one to help you out. So you really never have to worry about losing everything to one spy. And speaking of spies, I think now is a good time to move on to the third part of the acronym, which is Spy Check. So I think we can all agree that spies are the most annoying class to deal with. It's not just a hassle for engineers, but a universal problem that everyone has to deal with. But engineers are definitely a lot more prominent in it because someone has to deal with a sentry and teleporter somehow, and who better else than a spy? Now, I was going to mention that it's generally a good idea to have a pyro to spy check on your team, but since this is solely an engineer video, I'm not really going to talk about that all that much. But in terms of weapons and what you can use to deal with spies, the Southern Hospitality might be a good choice. Thanks to the bleeding effect that it has, you'll be able to track down spies a lot more easier. Although you don't have the ability to do crit damage, it's honestly not really a big problem because spies generally have very low health. I would say the only downside to using this wrench is the 20% fire damage vulnerability. However, since engineers rarely face off against pyros one-on-one, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Now, another weapon that you can also use to track down spies is the short circuit, because if a spy were to be cloaked, you'll be able to reveal their position with ease. Me personally, I don't really use the short circuit all that much, especially if I'm playing on defense, but seeing how you can also use it to destroy incoming rockets or grenades, I might consider using it a bit more. Anyways, in terms of primary weapons, as you can see, I'm using the panic attack because I think it's a pretty underappreciated weapon to use. I enjoy doing a lot of damage up close, and that's generally what the panic attack does. Generally speaking, there's really no right or wrong answer to which shotgun you should use when playing engineer, because it really depends how good you are playing with that specific weapon. Of course, some people might argue that this weapon is better than that weapon, or that weapon is complete garbage. But some people have the ability to make certain things work, such as myself with the Liberty launcher. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. When it comes to spy checking, even if you do everything that I said, there's always going to be one spy that manages to sap your buildings or even destroy them. Such as here, where a spy managed to sap and destroy my sentry and later on sap my teleporter and dispenser. But luckily no other buildings were destroyed thanks to the help from another engineer. So it's really just a minor inconvenience that happens to everyone, even to the best players. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the spy checking part, so now I can move on to the last one, which is hold position. So when I say hold position, I generally mean to set up in one location and to hold it down as much as possible. Whether it's with other engineers or just by yourself, as long as you prevent the enemy from getting passed by, I'd say you're doing a great job. In this gameplay that you're seeing, the enemy tried to overrun us with an Ubered heavy, and although they managed to destroy my sentry, we still managed to hold our position and eventually we managed to kill them. But what if there were more enemies and I wasn't here to repair my sentry or help out? Well then take a look at this gameplay right here, because although I later on abandoned this position, this engineer right here is the reason why I got a big killing spree with my sentry. So I'm only going to show a bit of gameplay to see how many times he repairs my sentry and how many kills I get.
Just a little
So yeah, I managed to get up to 20 kills, and it was all thanks to that engineer. And I don't think I have to explain that scene all that much because it pretty much speaks for itself. Although I wasn't there to help out, that engineer knew exactly what to do and he pretty much fulfilled his task until he died. Needless to say, we need a lot more engineers like that guy in TF2. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that. I know some of the things that I said may have sounded weird or out of place, but I wanted to upload this video as fast as possible because I haven't uploaded in almost a week. Funny enough, I actually came up with this idea a few days ago and I told myself, oh, I might be able to do it in a week or less. So anyways, I hope you found this video useful or at the very least entertaining. I actually might consider doing another one of these videos in the future though. But anyways, have a good day.